Historic buildings in ruins. What caused them to collapse overnight?
Plus, how does the Coast Guard work for you? What the agency wants you to know. But first, Syrian refugees seek to relocate in the U.S. Why some state lawmakers are pushing back and what you need to know about the process that lets them come here. 10 minutes of nonstop news and your first forecast all before the first commercial.
This is 10 at 10.
WPSD Local 6, your breaking news and weather authority. This is Local 6 at 10 in high definition.
As the president moves forward in allowing Syrian refugees into the U.S., several local state lawmakers are pushing back.
Our protection comes first.
Late today, President Obama threatened to veto a bill in the U.S. House which would require more security checks for Syrians seeking to relocate in the United States.
It's the latest development in a tug-of-war between the president and dozens of U.S. lawmakers and governors who want him to postpone any future action. Local 6's Robert Bradfield spoke to these two Kentucky lawmakers and explains why they want the president to reconsider after the terrorist attacks in Paris. That's tonight's top story.
President Obama's plan. State governments do not have the authority to deny the refugees entry into their states since this is a federal program, but both Heath and Watkins say they would support any symbolic resolution passed by the state legislature beginning in January.
Certainly a hot topic right now, Robert. Thank you. In a new Bloomberg poll, 53% of Americans say they oppose accepting Syrian refugees in the U.S. The poll finds 28% said the U.S. should continue accepting them without religious screening. Another 11% said only Christians fleeing Islamic State militants and Syria's civil war should be allowed in. The results were split along partisan lines.
The Obama administration says about 2,500 Syrian refugees have the approval to come to the U.S. right now. About half of them are women, the other half children. Here's what you need to know tonight about what happens when refugees come to the United States. Now, the U.S. State Department works with 9 domestic resettlement agencies to decide where those refugees will go. This is usually based on the refugees' needs and a community's resources. The agencies have what's called a cooperative agreement. This requires them to provide each refugee with a home, schools for children, and other necessary resources. The sponsoring resettlement affiliate or a family member must meet them at the airport. The State Department's reception and placement program supplies resettlement agencies a one-time sum per refugee to cover their rent, furnishings, food, and clothing, as well as to pay the costs of agency staff salaries and office space. This is limited to the first 3 months after they arrive. Refugees also receive employment authorization. After 1 year, they are required to apply for permanent residence. After 5 years, they can apply to become a citizen.
New tonight, ISIS published this new propaganda video making threats against Manhattan and New York City, paired with footage of Times Square and last week's attacks in Paris. In a statement, a spokesperson for the New York City's police department says the agency is aware of the video and there is no current or specific threat to the city at this time. Following the deadly attacks in Paris, ISIS also threatened similar attacks on Washington, D.C. And in Paris, we are seeing dramatic video tonight from inside a restaurant. Daily Mail posted this surveillance footage from last Friday as a gunman fires at the business. People run. The video also shows diners and staff diving for cover. The French government plans to cancel 2 massive rallies in Paris scheduled for later this month. At least 200,000 people were expected to take part in the annual event, calling for strong measures to address global warming.
Well, among the fear and the grief, we're also continuing to see acts of love in Paris. This video shows a Muslim man wearing a blindfold. He stands in a crowd of mourners and tells them, "Hug me if you trust me. I'm told I'm a terrorist." Well, one by one, people embraced him.
Now, your weather authority first forecast.
Well, pretty soon people are going to be talking about how cold it is, right?
All right, Jen, thanks.
2 historic buildings are in ruins in northeast Mississippi after storms overnight. A construction manager says one of the building's rooftops collected too much water and a wall failed between the 2 buildings. You can hear that strong wind, can't you? The hurricane force winds pounded Denver, Colorado today, forcing people back as they tried to board a bus. The blustery weather also caused power outages and flight delays. A 15-year-old boy faces murder charges in 2 separate cases. Police in Birmingham, Alabama say the teen shot and killed a man this past weekend and killed 2 others in their car last month. Officers say the teen is also suspected in a 4th death. Police did not reveal a possible motive.
New details at 10. Maintenance workers at the Volkswagen plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee can vote on whether to join the United Auto Workers Union. The National Labor Relations Board rejected Volkswagen's objections to the workers' request today. Volkswagen had argued a union vote should involve all workers at the plant. The vote is scheduled over 2 days starting December 3rd. Sheriff's deputies in Sumner County outside Nashville, Tennessee are investigating an officer-involved shooting. They say one of the deputies was shot in the chest while responding to a domestic call earlier tonight. His bulletproof vest did stop the bullet. Deputies arrested the shooter. Jason Plasters from Mississippi will serve 4 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, accused of threatening an employee with Mississippi Department of Family and Children Services. Investigators say the worker was traveling to Illinois to execute a custody order on Plasters' newborn child when he left a number of voicemails of a threatening nature.
This 17-year-old from Benton, Illinois, pleaded not guilty to aggravated DUI in a crash that killed another teen. Clay Kelly is accused of driving a pickup into a tree and a mobile home last month and then fleeing the scene. The crash killed 17-year-old Isaiah Snowden. A judge will hear a new motion in Mid-Continent University's bankruptcy case tomorrow. The school is seeking to employ Bunch Brothers as the realtor to sell the campus. At the last hearing, Huntington Bank opposed Bunch Brothers Realty as the realtor, and the judge told them to reach an agreement outside of court. The judge will also hear 2 other motions to sell various sports and library equipment and a motion to dismiss the case. More than 200 handguns, 88 shotguns, 234 rifles, and 10 assault weapons. Police in Central California say they found all of these inside a home today. Officers say the homeowner used to be a federal firearms dealer before his license was revoked last year. He now faces charges of illegally possessing firearms.
This video is in from Southern California of a helicopter spinning out of control. Investigators say 2 people died after that chopper landed at an airport, spun for more than a minute, and caught fire. No word yet on what caused that crash. Thousands of airport workers across the U.S. plan to go on strike for the next 24 hours. Cleaners, wheelchair attendants, and baggage handlers planned the strike at 7 of the country's busiest airports, including Chicago's O'Hare, over poor working conditions. Employees are also demanding a $15 an hour minimum wage for those who keep terminals and plane cabins clean.
175 families in Paducah will receive what they need to prepare Thanksgiving meals. Members of First Baptist Church of Paducah put together those boxes to help celebrate the church's 175th anniversary. Associate Pastor Russ Wilson says it's their way to give back to the community.
In fact, I heard one lady that contacted someone said that the lady on the phone said, "Oh, you've been an answer to prayer," said that she sang to her and she prayed over her.
Families also receive a voucher to a local grocery store to buy those perishable items they need.
Well, the hope is this water tower will become a popular destination in Kentucky. The tower in Lebanon will look like the world's largest Maker's Mark bourbon pour. Marion County's Tourist and Convention Commission asked for the mural to highlight the home of the distillery. That looks pretty good.
It's one way to get a little publicity.
Yes, it is. All right, the illnesses local doctors' offices are seeing in tonight's What's Going Around. Plus, while your sleep schedule may be impacting your cholesterol, weight size, and body mass index.
Plus, how the Coast Guard is working to keep you safe and our waterways clean.
And we have a couple days of quiet weather headed our way before we see another cold front bring very frigid temperatures to the area. We'll track it all next, coming up after the break. You're watching Local 6 at 10.
Your breaking news and weather authority with Todd Faulkner, Jennifer Horbelt, weather authority Jennifer Rukavina, and Jeff Bidwell Sports. You're watching Local 6 at 10 in high definition.
Doctors in our area tell us they're treating lots of kids with strep. Local 6's Johnette Warwick lists the symptoms to look for in this week's What's Going Around.
I'm Johnette Warwick, and that's what's going around.
Waking up early on work days and sleeping in on days off may not be as restful as you think. A study of more than 400 adults reveals those with large differences in their sleep schedules tended to have higher cholesterol levels, larger waist sizes, and higher body mass indexes. Well, researchers say those metabolic changes can lead to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease.
Coffee on the go. New features one coffee chain is testing to serve you faster. Plus, a colorful response by this woman after her fiance called off their wedding through a text.
And up next, they are in charge of keeping our waterways safe. Why the Coast Guard is now reaching out to connect with you.
You're watching WPSD Local 6.
Who responds to emergencies like this oil spill in September on the Mississippi River? It's the Coast Guard. They safely removed that oil. Now the agency wants to show you everything else it does. And as Local 6's Ashley Sanchez found out, the Coast Guard says staying connected to the community is an important part of keeping your waterways safe.
Hundreds safe. In Paducah, Ashley Sanchez, WPSD Local 6.
The Coast Guard does have a phone app you can use to help you navigate the waterways, find the latest safety regulations, or report an emergency. To find out how you can download it, head to our web channel, WPSDlocal6.com.
Another coffee chain is hoping to serve your coffee fast. Dunkin' Donuts started allowing customers in Maine to order ahead of time through a smartphone app. It also plans to launch a delivery service in several other cities. Dunkin's competitor, Starbucks, launched mobile ordering in September.
Scanning the satellites now, a colorful way to cope. A bride-to-be and her bridesmaids destroyed their dresses during the Color Fun Fest in Florida over the weekend. This after the groom-to-be called off the wedding via text message just days before the big day. Not cool.
An act of kindness with a rather amusing note. A Reddit user posted a picture of a letter he found on his windshield along with a new hubcap. The first part reads, "Yo, dog, I noticed your car only had 3 hubcaps. My car at one time also only had 3 hubcaps. I couldn't find the same one, so I bought a different set, but for some reason, saved the old ones."
Say it one more time, yo,
How'd that
dog.
letter start?
Yo, dog. Now for sports, a busy night of college basketball.
My night is complete.
Yep.
UT Martin's women in action tonight at home. Highlights coming up. Plus SIU trying to get their 3rd straight win at home, hosting Kent State. Highlights and reaction from the arena coming up next. You're watching WPSD Local 6 at 10.
For the weekend, enjoy the 50s tomorrow and Friday.
All right, Jen, thanks.
And thank you for watching WPSD Local 6 at 10.
Have a great night.